At 6 p.m., over NBC's WEAF, the Catholic Hour took to the air with an address from Monsignor Fulton J Sheen.
The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with the National Council of Catholic Men, presents the Catholic Hour. Today's program will consist of music by a unit of the Polish choristers and an address by Monsignor Fulton J Sheen. A group of the Polish choristers open the Catholic Hour this Easter Sunday, singing César Franck's well-known setting of the 150th Psalm, O praise ye the Lord in his holy temple.
Fulton John Sheen was born on May 8, 1895 in El Paso, Illinois. He was ordained a priest in 1919, quickly becoming a renowned theologian. He won the Cardinal Mercier Prize for International Philosophy in 1923 and went on to teach theology and philosophy at the Catholic University of America. Beginning in 1930, Father Sheen began a 20-year run hosting the Catholic Hour on NBC, before moving into TV to present Life is Worth Living and the Fulton Sheen program. Twice winning an Emmy for Most Outstanding TV Personality, he was also featured on the cover of Time magazine. He was appointed an auxiliary bishop of the Archdiocese of New York in 1951, holding the position until 1966, when he was made Bishop of Rochester. He resigned in 1969, near his 75th birthday, and would live until December 9th, 1979. In 2002, 22 years after his death, an official cause for canonization into sainthood was opened. Pope Benedict XVI officially recognized his life of heroic virtues. However, his 2019 beatification was postponed after the current Bishop of Rochester expressed concern that Sheen mishandled a sexual misconduct case against a priest. Although the Diocese of Peoria countered that his handling of the case had already been thoroughly investigated, as of 2024, Fulton J. Sheen's beatification is still postponed.
Monsignor Fulton J. Sheen of the Catholic University of America will now deliver the last in his series of 18 addresses on the crises in Christendom. His discourse today is entitled Easter. I present Monsignor Sheen.
Friends, the supreme instance of all history that the voice of the people is not necessarily the voice of God was the moment when a mob passed beneath the cross, flinging at the helpless figure there upon it the blistering sneer of the ages. He trusted in God. Let God deliver him. 2 days later, early in the morning, a converted sinner is found walking in a cemetery. She whose heart had been captured by him without, as other men had done, laying it waste. She was in search of a tomb and a dead body, which she hoped she might anoint with spices. The idea of the resurrection never seemed to enter her mind. She who herself had risen from a tomb sealed by the 7 devils of sin. Finding the tomb empty, she broke into a fountain of tears. No one who weeps ever looks upwards. With her eyes cast down as the brightness of the early sunrise swept over the dew-covered grass, she vaguely perceived someone near her who asked, "Woman, why weepest thou?" Mary, thinking it might have been the gardener, said, "Because they've taken away my Lord, and I know not where they laid him." That figure before her spoke only one word, one name, and in a tone so sweet and ineffably tender that it could be the only unforgettable voice of the world. And that one word was Mary. No one ever could say Mary as he had said it. In that moment she knew him. Dropping into the Aramaic of her mother's speech, she answered but one word, "Rabboni, Master." And she fell at his feet. She was always there, anointing them at a supper, standing before them at a cross, and now kneeling before him in the glory of an Easter morn. The cross had asked the questions, the resurrection had answered them. The cross had asked the question, how far can power go in the world? The resurrection answered, power ends in its own destruction, for they who slew the foe lost the day. The cross had asked the question, why does God permit evil and sin to nail justice to a tree? The resurrection answered that sin, having done its worst, might exhaust itself and thus be overcome by love that is stronger than either sin or death. And thus there emerges the Easter lesson that the power of evil and the chaos of any one moment can be defied and conquered. For the basis of our hope is not in any construct of human power, but in the power of God, who gave to the evil of this earth its one mortal wound, an open tomb, a gaping sepulchre, and an empty grave. If the story of Christ ended with that cry of abandonment on the cross, then what hope have we that bruised goodness and crucified justice will ever rise triumphant over the massed wickedness of men? If he who died to give us the glorious liberty of the children of God could not break the chains of death, then what hope is there that the enslaved peoples of Europe will ever rise from the slavery of their graves to a freedom where a man can call a soul his own? If there be no power of God that can raise to the newness of life him who said, I am the light of the world, then in broken-hearted misery must we say to our armed forces, out, out, breathe candles, there shall not be light again. If there be no power of God to bring back to life the Redeemer of our sins and the teacher of our minds, then the pathos of human mortality is deepened and the riddle of human existence darkened forever, as the prison doors of death are everlastingly shut by the jailer whose name is Black Despair. You say that the resurrection of our divine Lord contradicts science and human experience? I say to you that the rotting in the grave of supreme truth would contradict it 1,000 times more. I can accept a universe where goodness is crucified by power, but I cannot accept one where there is no higher power to raise it to justification. I can accept a world where evil has its hour, where a Poland suffers from her enemies, where Jews and Christians are exiled, where the cross is double-crossed by a swastika, where 40,000 churches are closed in a land where religion is called the opium of the people. I can accept any of these things, But I cannot accept a world wherein goodness does not have its Easter day to sing triumphant on the wings of victory. Apply this lesson to the dark hour in which we live. Whence is our hope for victory in this war? Whence our hope for peace? Whence our hope for the church? Whence is our hope for victory? The hope for victory in this war must not be in the power of arms alone, in guns and tanks and planes. For as Isaiah warned, woe unto them that go down to Egypt for help, trusting in horses because they are many, and in horsemen because they are strong, and have not trusted in the Holy One of Israel, and have not sought after the Lord. Rather, our hope for victory is and must be in the righteousness of our cause, a righteousness that cannot be conquered, because rooted in the power of God, who gave to the evil of this earth its one mortal wound, an open tomb, a gaping sepulchre, and an empty grave. Whence comes our hope for peace? Our hope for peace is not in the common man, unpurified by faith. For once in power, he will cease to be the common man or the proletariat, and will become the uncommon man or the bureaucrat, and will use his power as fiercely as the very class that he overthrew. Rather, our hope is in the common man, made uncommon by the power of God, who, as the Declaration of Independence says, gave us our rights, and in the power of him who dared to say to the first totalitarian Caesar of Christian history, "Thou shouldst not have any power unless it were given to thee from above."
Opposite the Catholic Hour, the Blue Network aired the Radio Hall of Fame on WJZ.
This is the Radio Hall of Fame. The Radio Hall of Fame is presented during the full hour ahead by Philco Corporation, makers today of radar and electronic battle equipment for the fighting forces of the United Nations, makers tomorrow of equipment for good living in a free world united by victory. Each week, the editors and correspondents of Variety report and select for the Philco program the hits of the show world from all fields of entertainment. And now, may I present our master of ceremonies, the distinguished composer, author, and commentator, Deems Taylor.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This week, the editors of Variety recommend for your pleasure, and Philco delights to honor in your name,
From the theater and motion pictures, Paul Muni. From vaudeville and nightclubs, Sophie Tucker. From vaudeville and radio, Tom Howard and George Shelton. From motion pictures and radio, Richard Haydn. From nightclubs and the recording studios, Robert Crumb.
And now, marking his customary grand entrance to conduct the Philco Radio Hall of Fame Orchestra and Chorus, comes Paul Whiteman.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Whiteman speaking. Our pristine offering today is a deft transliteration of a lyric gem that is at present in high esteem among those who woo the Latin American youth.
Or to put it more bluntly, today's opening number is the current Latin American favorite, Amore, Amore.
Hosted by Deems Taylor and sponsored by Philco, the Radio Hall of Fame was conceived as a weekly Academy Award of Radio through Variety magazine, focusing on that week's hits. When it was launched in December 1943, there was serious questioning as to whether it was proper for Variety to be so intimately involved. How could a trade paper, whose business was reviewing show business, enter into its production? Ben Bodek, a 15-year Variety reporter, quit in protest, but the show went on without a hitch. It was a glittering spectacle. Stars like Fred Allen, Bob Hope, Sophie Tucker, Groucho Marx, Bing Crosby, George Burns, Gracie Allen, and the Andrews Sisters all appeared. It would air until April 28, 1946.
In 1939, the great Beatrice Lillie brought to New York a review entitled Set to Music. In the cast was a young actor named Richard Haydn.